RC. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Retire by Investing. This is RC coming back with another comprehensive market review. And this week has been very interesting, to say the least, but it's not something that we didn't outline to some extent in the other one. Um, but just looking at the market and the health of it, um, it's kind of mixed this week. And there's a lot of things that happened, a lot of reversals, and just wanted to give you guys a definite inside look on like what's going on. Uh, so to start with the SPY right now, we do have like another inside candle off of another reversal. So we literally like broke above all-time highs, had like a retest, and then reclaimed this, 21 to um, 9 EMA. I know it says 10, but it's really a 9. That is good and bad per se. But I'll share as to why it's not really that good. Um, but this is an area where we're just seeing like more increased chop. Um, it's for most traders, this is like the death by 1,000 cuts type of environment, including myself. Even though I'm like kind of like flat for the month of January. But just looking at things for a longer term investor, I mean, definitely still bullish, not nothing to worry about. For investors, just to give you guys an understanding what's going on, as long as you are above like this 100, 150, 200 SMA, you're like, it's total, your portfolio should be fine. As long as you're like investing from the very back of here. Like if you look on, like, let's go to like in the back, like just look in the past, like as long as you're like trending above these three, like there's really nothing wrong with the market. The market will eventually pull down. Sometimes you do get these types of corrections, in which we definitely do want to avoid. But for the most part, once you after that, I mean, there's a longer term look. Every time that the market eventually has like a triple play is what I call it. So you have the um 100, 150, 200 all come together and they eventually start to trail above each other like that. Yeah, don't worry so much. But if you're like have a portfolio like, in shorter term stocks, this is kind of like where you need to listen per se, and manage risk. Anyway, going into it, so we have this candle. I don't necessarily know what ends up happening this week, just because there's like so much market weakness that's been happening. There's a good chance that we may flush just from rejecting this area. This, just updating the price action here, this area right here, like these three closes, are super, super important now. This is the most recent price action from the all-time high. Obviously, one of them is going to be this 697.10 area, but because we retested that, not retested that, but got to 697 again, this 697 in general is going to be the marker for if we either continue or not. So just look at it in that term of view for now. Going into the Qs, we had this scenario where I kind of said like we would probably hit this area and then come back down, in which we did. But the problem is we are back into the range. So that's never a good thing. You never want to be going back into a range after retesting it. You want to retest the breakout point. So if you're a trader or whatever, once it breaks breaks an area, it goes up, it should retest this line on top of this line and build a base and then eventually push out. But because we went back into the range and went even lower and closed lower, so reversal one day and they eventually closed below that area, not a very good look. We're still above the 50, which is an intermediate time frame, but there could be a lot more short-term weakness. I mean, it's very easy for this to flip this picture and know that there's a small base right here, 1, 2, 3, 4. So if we break below this area, then that kind of signifies that we can go a little bit or flush lower, and that's not what you really want for the market, especially for tech. Going back to the QQEW, this is exactly that same picture. The same picture that I did not want last week is the same picture that we kind of have right now. There could be some mean reversion trades here for most people. Um, but again, just looking at like where we are, um, again, a lot of these moving averages for tech are pointing downwards, which is not a good sign momentum wise. I would be cautious coming into this week. I personally, for myself, I'm in majority cash. So I think like I would say 95% cash. So, but just as a FYI, just make sure that you manage your risk coming into this week. I think, there's a lot of things to unfold, but a lot of stocks in general are just not that they're just not breaking out the way they used to. We did have some good periods in January, but coming into February, I mean, may all change. Definitely on watch for now, not trading as much. In terms of the RSP, which is really, really good, and not good at the same time. So this area, like I said, this area right here, unless we break above this, we did break above this, came back into the range, and then kind of retested. I thought we were going to be doing some breaking out, but no, it continues to be a stubborn area for the RSP in general. I mean, this could literally come back and retest, the 194 area, and before going back up, which is possible. And that would literally flush a lot of players out at this point. So it can literally come back down, flush past these areas, undercut, come back up a little bit after testing the 50, come back up, build into this range, and then break out into March. So that's like kind of what I'm looking at. But again, all of this is subject to what the market wants to do. Yeah, just personally, just looking at how things are right now, I just don't think that a lot of the price action is just really constructive. I think that it's definitely gonna have to take a turn for a little bit to kind of rest. The market has to rest, and then we do other things at that point. Going into IWN and MDY, we're now breaking down on the 21 EMA, which is not really good. Probably could flush to the 50 and retest this area. This would probably be another breakout area that has to get retested before building a base, and then we'll see what happens. Same thing for the MDY. Could get a little bit more if we come back over to this area too. Now that we're trending below the 21 EMA and all these MAs are starting to go lower, there's at least 1 or 2 weeks of chop, in my opinion. Usually when you're getting this 21 EMA, I mean, things can happen really quick, but usually when you get like a 21 EMA, you would at least see 2 weeks of chop or even 1 week of chop. So in my opinion, just, be careful out there. Volatility, which is, I kind of outlined this in the other market review, but this is definitely not what you want. So the problem that we have is that the VIX is starting to, um, all the MAs are literally coming together to the point where now some of the volatility is actually trending above the 21, the 5, the 21, or the 5, the 9, and the 21 EMA. And now is above the 50, the 100, and the 150. And the last one is a 200. Now we rejected twice off this 200 area, but now there's a possibility that, I mean, we actually get a base break on the VIX in a sense, and which signifies that if we do, then we close in that area, and it's not a 1 week close; it's like a 1 day close. It could be, but you usually want to see the week close out in that area tighter and before breaking out to like here, and that means like we can get like a not like a flash crash, but like a pretty good correction going forward. So just be very aware of like where we are. You do not want to be buying shit while we're above these levels, because what that means for most people is that when you're buying like you could buy dips like that, but the problem is like when you do buy into some of those dips, depending on the stock, if they're weak, they can become even weaker and they can go even lower. And then at that point, that's when human emotions kind of take over, and kind of fuck you up in a sense. So, in my opinion, I'll be tracking this for sure throughout the week, but just as FYI, be careful out there coming into this week. It's super, super deadly, um, in my opinion. But that's all I have for you guys, and hope you guys take care. Peace.